Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Jamie. Hello, how are we? So basically I own a lot of books. I do, and I have been collecting books over a very long period of time, especially when I first started booktube in 2019. I was just very obsessed with like collecting and quantity over quality. Now I've very much taken a step back. I feel like I've really figured out my reading taste and all those sorts of things, and now I just own all these books that I'm either never gonna read or like really didn't like or just have no interest in anymore. We have 45 books that I'm gonna be unhauling. I feel like that's a good amount. I feel like that's a healthy amount. And yeah, I'm just gonna talk you through them, explain maybe why I didn't like them as much. But yeah, I'm gonna try and not be too negative. Sometimes it can't be helped. Anyway, let's just get into it. So the first books that I have here, it is the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. So we've got A Darker Shade of Magic, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light. I actually found these at a secondhand bookshop. I think I paid like $30 for the whole set, which is really, really good. And I was really excited at the time because I think I had just started booktube and I had just read Vicious by V.E. Schwab and I loved it. However, I read this book, the first one, at the beginning of last year, and it really did not get me invested in the rest of the series. Like, I found it not very good at all. Like, I just found it all to be very disjointed and just not V.E. Schwab's best work. So I know for a fact that I'm not going to be continuing the series. I did get a lot of comments when I first read this saying that the series gets better, but like, if I really wasn't passionate about this first book, I really can't justify reading the next two when there are so many other series that I want to get into and other series that I want to like continue over this one. So yeah, I will be getting rid of these. Next I have this really random book. I don't know why I own it. It's called The Terminal Beach by J.G. Ballard. It's a collection of short stories and I think it's science fiction. I think I was at the same secondhand bookshop where I got that series, and a friend of mine told me that he really loved this and I would really like it, but I really don't think I would. It's a hideous cover, first of all, like that's disgusting. And also, I'm not a science fiction girly. I'm also not really a short story collection girly, so I don't think I'm ever gonna read this, and it might as well just be returned to that same secondhand bookshop, which is probably where I'm going to take all of these books. Oh yeah, because I know that people are probably going to ask what I'm going to do with all of them. I really like taking them back to that secondhand bookshop that I love shopping at and donating them because they have a really good program for the books that like don't get sold. I also give them to a bunch of rehabilitation centers. So I don't know, I like that. I like that they're being put to good use. I'm also going to be getting rid of Autobiography by Christina Lauren. I bought this like quite a few years ago. I read this in a video. I think it was like me reading like a bunch of romance novels, and this is a YA romance, and I just didn't really like it. I didn't like the main characters and it just doesn't stand out to me. And yeah, the cover is beautiful. It's a nice hardback, but I'm just never going to pick this up again. Randomly, I have these two acting books. I think I had to buy them for like some courses that I was doing. I don't want these. As an actor, I find it embarrassing to have these on my shelf. So I'm getting rid of them. I'm getting rid of this book, Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. This is like a historical fiction. I think I also got this secondhand. I never saw the film, so I don't really know why I felt the urge to pick this up. I think I just really liked the cover, but I just know that I'm never gonna read it. As much as I love novels set at circuses, this is not one that I'm going to be reading. I also have The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Again, I have never felt the urge to pick this up. This is another historical fiction set in Alaska in the 70s. No idea what else it's about, but like I just don't really love historical fiction, and if I do, there's very few of them that I enjoy. I don't think this is going to be one of them. I read like the first couple of pages. It just doesn't seem like my vibe. If I'm going to read any Kristen Hanna book, I think it would be The Nightingale first, because I've heard more good things about that than I have heard about this. But yeah, this is going to be leaving my possession. I also have Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. This was a really disappointing read for me. I ended up DNFing it because I just could not handle how the main characters spoke to each other. I think I actually read this in a vlog last year as well. Well, DNF'd it in a vlog. It's so upsetting because it is a female-female romance, and it's like grumpy sunshine, but it was grumpy sunshine in a way where I feel like our grumpy character, our grumpy woman, she was like kind of misogynistic to girls who like wore makeup or like did cheerleading, and it's like, I'm not here for that. And I also like don't know why. I love books about the film industry, but I don't like when the main characters are filmmakers. Like, they always kind of read as quite pretentious to me, which is upsetting because I love the film industry. But yeah, I did not love this. I have this first volume of Children of the Whales, which is a manga. I'm just not a manga girly. I really thought that I could be a manga girly, but the idea of having to buy like 20 volumes of like certain mangas, like I loved Tomi by Junji Ito. I love my Death Note mangas, but that's because I see them as like collector's items rather than books that I'm gonna like sit down and read, because Death Note is my favorite anime of all time. I just don't think I'm ever gonna read this, and I feel like someone else would really enjoy this one. Oh my gosh, okay, I also have Jade City by Fonda Lee. I have tried to read this twice, and I think I was trying to read it when I was kind of like going out of my fantasy vibe. I wish I still loved fantasy, and I want to continue reading fantasy and keep getting back into it. But this really didn't help with that. Like, I don't know, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I'm really upset because I know so many people love it. I'm not one of those people, and yeah, I tried to read it twice and I just don't think it's for me, unfortunately. I wish it was, but I think this one might just be leaving my collection, and I'm so sorry to all the Jade City stans. I wish I could be one of you. Oh, I've had this for so long. It's We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. I've seen the movie, and the movie was really fucking depressing. Like, it was so dark, it was so bleak, and like, yeah, it was a good film, but I never want to see that again, let alone read the book. Like, I feel like the book will be worse, and I feel like this novel will just make me really unhappy. So I don't really want to read it, and I have no intention of reading it. And like, Tilda Swinton, I love you, but do you have to be on the cover? Do you have to? I don't like movie covers, I will say that. I think I got this one secondhand as well. It is The Witch Elm by Tana French. This, I think, is like a murder mystery thriller kind of vibe. Maybe it has paranormal vibes as well, I'm not sure. I also just think this is like a big series, but it confuses me. Like, I've tried to look up this author on Goodreads, and then she has so many different series. I'm not sure if this is like the first or the second or the third. I genuinely don't know. It's all really confusing. I've owned it for way too long of a time, and I just don't think I'm gonna read it. Also, it's really long, and the chapters are really long as well, sorry. And there's only a few books that I would forgive for having really long chapters. One of them is The Secret History. The others don't exist. I don't forgive them. Next we have Dark Dawn by Kristoff. If you remember watching my YouTube channel in 2019, which will only be a few of you because every single one of my videos from 2019 is on private. If you remember watching my YouTube channel in 2019, you will know that I loved the Nevernight series so much. I feel a bit differently about it now. Like, I feel like if I reread the books, would I still love them? I'm not sure. I'm still going to be keeping the first two books in the series because those were both like 5-star reads when I read them, whereas this like final book in the installment really disappointed me. And also, while it is so beautiful, it is a different edition to the other books that I have. Like, both my Nevernight and God's copies are like paperbacks. This is a really hefty hardback, and I just feel like this will be more enjoyed by someone else. I'm not sure if you can still get it in this hardback cover. I'm genuinely not sure. You might be able to, I don't know. I don't really know all about like book reselling and like limited edition, like original edition copies. I'm really so far removed from that world. I know what world I don't want to be part of as well, and it's the Nevernight universe in the third installment. I didn't love it as much. I'm sorry, the ending disappointed me. I have this copy of The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is like the most hideous spine you've ever seen. I found this secondhand and I just haven't read it. Like, this book really intrigues me, but I've owned it for so long, I have not picked it up yet. I feel like if I am gonna pick it up, I probably will pick it up on my Kindle. And they're also just such huge books that it's like, I don't know if I want to create space for this on my shelf, especially when it's so aesthetically disgusting to me. So I have the second book in this pile somewhere as well. I'm sure I'll get to it, but yeah, this has got to go. I'm sorry, I'm gonna seem so shallow with some of these, but yeah. Next we have Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I have not read this. Why is it this orange color? Why? Like, why did it have to be that orange color? I will say the Alice Oseman books that I have that aren't like the Heartstopper graphic novels are all so ugly, but I'm keeping Radio Silence because I really like that book. I'm not going to be keeping this one because I haven't read it. Again, if I do feel like reading more of Alice Oseman's backlist, I probably will just read it on my Kindle. So I just don't really have room for a book like this. Okay, next I have Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. I read this book and I actually really enjoyed it. It was like a really solid YA fantasy, but like, look at that. Like, it's not good looking. It's not an attractive book. I liked it, but I just never got around to reading the rest of the books in the series, even though I really enjoyed this first book. It was a good series. I'm just never going to continue it, and there's no point in me keeping the first book in that case. Next we have Last One to Die by Cynthia Murphy. I read this last year and I rated it 1 star. It was just not very well written at all. I read this in a video where I read 7 books in 7 days. So if you want to see my thoughts on that, you can watch that video from last year. I also have Into the Crooked Place by Alexandra Kristoff. I probably just won't ever get around to this. It is YA fantasy. I bought this for a video concept that I wanted to do last year, and then I never finished that video concept because I stopped making videos because BookTube was not a fun place for me at the time, and it is now. We love it, we love growth. I just will never get around to reading this now that that video concept is like done and dusted. Next we have this book called Girl A by Abigail Dean. This was sent to me by the publisher, so I think this is an arc. So I don't know how I can get rid of this because you can't like resell them. But basically, yeah, I read like 100 pages of this and then DNF'd it. It just really wasn't a well-written thriller whatsoever to me. So I will be getting rid of this. Next I have Winterwood by Jade City. I believe this is the Owl Crate edition of this novel. But again, YA fantasy just really isn't for me right now. Oh, it's signed. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's a signed copy. That looks like real pen and not a sticker or anything. Okay, well, it's a signed copy of Winterwood by Jade City. I just am never really going to get around to reading this, I don't think. It's a really beautiful book. Like, hello, that's really gorgeous. But it's just not my taste. It's just not my taste, I don't think. Yeah, I'm kind of sad to see this go. This really reminds me of like 2019 early BookTube Jamie days, but I'm just never gonna read it. There's, you know, sometimes we have to let go of the past. We really do. We have Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. I really didn't like it. I read this for a 24-hour readathon back in the day, last year. And yeah, I just wasn't a fan, so it's going. Okay, next we have this, Beautiful Country, which is a Book of the Month book. This is like for a Book of the Month sponsorship that I never ended up doing because the books arrived like 2 months late. And there was a misprint, and underneath is actually The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And I already own a copy of that book. I might as well just get rid of this because it's not Beautiful Country. It's The Last Time I Lied. So yeah, this was just a little mistake. Okay, next we have Exciting Times by Nosha Dolan. I read this a couple months ago. I rated it 1 star. It wasn't for me whatsoever. I read it in a 24-hour readathon and I didn't love it, so it has to go. I also have Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I read this last year as well and I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. This is another lesbian romance that just did not do it for me. It just wasn't really well written and it wasn't my taste, and I did not like the main characters, and I just don't like where the story went. So yeah, and it was also really depressing. I don't know why, it was so bleak. But yeah, this is going. As is, to no one's surprise, oh, I've got both of them here. I'm obviously going to be getting rid of my 2 Colleen Hoover books that I own and rated both 1 star. So It Ends With Us and Ugly Love. And I'm not going to say anything else about them because I don't want the Colleen Hoover stands to come for my throat. Next we have The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the first in a fantasy series. This is a mass market paperback. I didn't love this. It didn't grip me. I don't remember anything about it. And I actually did read this for the same video concept as the Alexandra Kristoff book that never got posted. Yeah, I think I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. Oh yeah, I also have, this is kind of sad to get rid of, but I just can't justify owning them because I just have no room for them whatsoever. But it is the first 3 volumes in the Silent Voice manga series. So yeah, volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. I really like the anime. It's really like sad, but also really heartwarming, but like mostly heartbreaking, like really sad. And I love the anime, but I just can't justify holding on to these when really essentially they would just be decoration. And I'm trying to be less of a hoarder in my older age. And now that I like live with someone else, I just don't want to be a hoarder. And I feel like that's a reasonable want. Next we have Brave New World. I do want to read this at some stage in my life. Like, this is a bucket list book. However, it's not going to be this edition. I think I'll just find it somewhere else. I might get it out from the library. But yeah, I'm getting rid of this. I also have Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. I didn't love Wilder Girls by Rory Power, so I just don't think I want to give her a second chance. I don't really know that much about this one, and kind of crazy how I match the cover right now. But yeah, I'm drifting away from the YA. I'm drifting away from it. It kind of makes me sad. Like, I feel like I'm losing some of my youthfulness, but it's just not my favorite kind of age category to read right now. Maybe I should do a giving YA a second chance video. That could be fun. Anyways, I have the Valkyries by Paulo Coelho. I love The Alchemist, but I just don't think I'm ever going to read this one. And I also have Cat's Cradle, which is another like science fiction thriller. It's about the atomic bomb. Again, I might read this one day, but it will not be anytime soon. And again, it won't be that edition. I have Louie and Louise by Julie Cohen. This was a really disappointing book for me. I rated this 1 out of 5 stars. I was obsessed with the concept where it's basically the same story told from 2 different perspectives, and that is if the main character was born a boy or if they were born a girl. So I thought it would be like this amazing like gender study and like, you know, be a commentary on being female or male, or like cis female or male in society. I was really excited to see potentially like which character like felt more comfortable in their own skin, and then would it be like a trans kind of story? No, it was shit. It was awful. It was basically just like, if you're a female, you're gonna get raped. Like, that's literally what it was. And I did not like reading about this. This was not good. And it was 1 out of 5 star. It was so disappointing because that plot could have, and that concept could have been so good, and it wasn't at all. Next we have How Do You Like Me Now by Holly Bourne. This copy is just really dirty, and I don't know how it got this dirty. I think I bought it secondhand, but like secondhand online, and then it showed up in just such bad condition. And I also don't even know what it's about. I think it's one of those like classic like woman in her early 20s figuring her life out. So I'm not gonna read this. Next I have The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. I believe this is a prequel to Practical Magic, and I like that movie, but am I really gonna read the book? I don't think so. I love the idea of witches, but I've just owned this for so long and I just don't think I'm ever gonna read it. Oh, I also have The Selection by Kiera Cass and The Elite. I never read these books. I think I found them at the secondhand bookshop for like $10 for the whole series. I've already gotten rid of other books in the series, but these last 2. Is this like the first and the second? Maybe I like kept the first and the second being like, oh, will I ever read this and like enjoy it? I'm never going to. I'm never gonna read this. So I might as well just get rid of the 2 of them. I have this book called Blueprints of the Afterlife by Ryan Boudnois. This was again a video concept, same as the other 2. I DNF'd it. It's like a dystopian. It just was a little bit too wordy for me. It was a little bit too literary fiction, but in the like science fiction genre, and that's not for me. I mean, like, I love literary fiction, but not when it's like a science fiction literary fiction. Like, I'm dumb, basically, is what I'm saying. And I will not ever be reading this. I've DNF'd it, so. Next we have The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I have not actually heard the best things about this. Like, if I had heard amazing things, then I would give it a go. But it's YA, it's about witches, and like, I just don't think it'll be my cup of tea. So I will be getting rid of this. Then I have Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, the second book in the Diviners novel series. Also has The Ugly Spine. And then, am I ever gonna read Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy? Ever. Like, this is like 800 pages long. Am I ever gonna read it? Like, realistically, like, I'm being realistic right now. Like, I love the idea of potentially reading Anna Karenina like at one stage of my life. Is that gonna be anytime soon? Let's be realistic with ourselves, Jamie. No, I will be getting rid of Anna Karenina. And it can be a bucket list book one day, but there's no point of me keeping it on my shelves if I'm not gonna read it for like another like 20 years. I'll just get it from the library, you know, maybe I'll get it on my Kindle. But yeah, I will be getting rid of that. And that was the last book in my unhaul. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I also want to stress, I am uploading this video before I'm getting rid of these books. So you have a chance to potentially save your favorite book. If there is a book in here that you're like, Jamie, do not get rid of that, like, what are you doing? And it's a book that I haven't read, please let me know in the comments and I will potentially consider it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm filming a bunch of videos today, so there will be many more coming out. So yeah, I hope you have the most amazing day ever. I love you, and I will see you very, very soon in another one.